where QR codes kill kittens and customer service is an oxymoron, one podcast has set out to make things right. This is the Unpodcast.
He's the dude from Brooklyn. Our intro guy's like that.
What's that? He's like he's like a cop from like the 80s or something.
Yeah, from
Jimmy
the old,
something.
Yeah,
I can't remember
Jimmy
his name.
something,
The character's name.
Jimmy.
Yeah. He does kind of sound like that guy.
Crack a few heads and then have a few glasses of the brown. Right?
Oh.
Yeah, Jimmy. Yeah, that's what he sounds like. Perfect.
Hi. I don't want to segue from glasses of the brown. But I feel like I have to. Hey.
Everybody, hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So this is the fourth episode we record in the run, so this is always the one that it can go off the rails.
Yeah,
so
it's cardigan season is going to come to a close.
It's cardi season's coming to a close. This is the fourth episode of the cardigan. Next week's episode, you'll see. We're excited if all things go well. Here, put it this way. If you see the episode after this one, and we're in this studio, something went wrong.
Yeah, something's gone wrong.
Because we're supposed to be doing something on the Trans-Canada Trail coming up.
In the great outdoors.
In the great outdoors. So either I died outdoors, and it'll just be Alison doing the show, and then like a rotating cast of Adam and Steph and Kathy and stuff.
I think you're going to have to, we're going to have to zinc you up. You're going to have sunscreen. It's a big day out in the sun. Scott's going to have sunscreen down his nose and
Unless
a hat.
we do it in a pavilion or a gazebo.
Oh, in a gazebo.
If we can do a show on gazebo, we just check that off the old bucket list right there, right? Immediately. Gazebo show done. Thank you.
So, I want to talk about coffee, which I guess I could have related to drinking your brown.
Cup of the brown.
Earlier.
Oh.
So, this article is from the National Post, which is a newspaper in Canada. That's a slightly off-putting view of coffee. So Starbucks, Tim Hortons, and Second Cup accused of gouging alternative milk drinkers in Canada. A Quebec judge has authorized a class action. What are you doing?
It's the biggest picture of a coffee cup I've ever seen.
And
so high def. I'm so sorry. It shocked me.
A Quebec judge has authorized a class action lawsuit that alleges Scott should not make such a big deal when the picture that alleges the coffee chains charge a disproportionate amount for non-dairy substitutes. So first, before we do this, let's gauge the anger that's going to rise. Do you take a dairy substitute? I know the answer to your question.
18% cream.
How do you take your coffee?
18% cream. Double.
That's true. So you get regular. Does anyone use alternative? Adam? Black. Wayne?
Milk and sugar.
Hey,
milk and sugar. Okay.
Regular milk?
Yep.
Of the cow?
Double.
Of the cow? Everyone?
Only black. Okay, so there's no milk alternative
no
in the
one's
room.
offended by this. Okay, so none of you can join the class action lawsuit, and I shouldn't have asked you. Judge, I'm sorry I wasted your time. A Quebec judge. Oh my goodness. It really is the last episode. Yeah. So law firm LPC Advocates alleged that in a summary of the case against the coffee chain that for years, Starbucks, Second Cup, and Tim Hortons have been price gouging customers who requested non-dairy substitutes in their beverages, either because of medical reasons like lactose intolerance or just personal choice. They said non-dairy substitutes such as soy, oat, almond, and coconut milks cost the coffee chain a fraction of the amount that they charge. So the idea that you would pay more for a dairy substitute based on this idea that oat milk would cost more than milk or cow milk is wrong.
Do you know how long it takes to milk an oat? That's much longer than a cow. I think you should be able to charge for that. You ever milked an oat? You can't even find the nipple.
She said the disproportionate to charge the customer more than 6 times. Scott's looking for nipples in his oats. A class action lawsuit includes all customers in Quebec who are charged for non-dairy substitute at Starbucks. So get out there, non-dairy drinkers in Starbucks, and add yourself. Yeah, I think it's just really interesting. It's a real consumer advocacy sort of piece. This idea that sometimes it has to do with the marketing, right? We're marketed this idea that something is special, right?
A premium.
Yeah. The idea that dairy would be sort of the baseline is assumed. And then that these extra things that they have to bring in are extra prices. And they market them as a special thing, right? Now we've got oat milk. Now we've got soy milk.
I think one of the important things to this as well is this isn't just a flavor preference or a flavor premium. It's the fact that these are substitutions.
Yeah.
And they're substitutions sometimes, a lot of the time. I'm not saying all the time, nor am I saying it's anywhere in the middle, which is it's for health like medical reasons.
Yeah, see, that's not, you're right, but I think also it's just when you have a product or something, it's based on how, like the whole idea is you pay a certain amount to get in that product and you pay a certain amount to sell the product. And it's just disproportionate.
But they're going off on perceived value.
Yeah,
they're just saying it's so much premium to this. And they're like looking saying it's not.
Yeah, it's really not.
By the way, it's simply not. And when people say I have cream in my coffee, I do not have cream. I have 18% cream. That's an important thing that I don't think everybody understands.
No, he notices.
Here in Canada, McDonald's and Tim Hortons use 18% cream, not 11%, which is what you use in a regular half and half creamer.
Half and half, they call that.
I think it's an 11%er.
Yeah.
Okay, 10 or 11%. Not happening. 18% is what they use here and McDonald's. Not in the States, though. McDonald's in the States uses the regular.
You really notice that, huh?
I notice it when it gets even remotely close to my face.
Yeah,
I just understand
what
it.
It's the color. You can tell the color.
I know exactly what the color of the coffee I should have, and also know how much should go in it.
Because we've been at places like restaurants, and you'll ask for cream, and they bring the little cup. They bring the little tiny miniature little. I love those little things. By the way, it looks like a little pitcher.
Yeah.
And
the little carafe.
Yeah, and you can tell by looking. You'll be like, no, that's not it.
I can tell in that little silver carafe if it's milk or cream.
I know.
Not even going close to it, just by the viscosity on top. And I'm like, oh no, we have. Do you have cream for the coffee? Oh, we only have milk. I'm like, I don't need the coffee.
Well, we need to get crew with some like divergence in there because that was a waste of a question.
Don't have
I asked out of interest. They could have lied.
Not one person here is curious about an oats nipple at all. Not one of these people. And I think that's a shocking shame. And I think we're underrepresented in our crew here at the show. So we need to work on that. Free the
diversity hire is someone who drinks oat milk.
But that's we'll have this T-shirt. Free the oat nipple. It's just right. We just always got to do that.
Fourth episodes are always so fun.
The BBC brings us our next little thing we've seen, which is...
The BBC does not want to be associated with oat nipples.
And nor do they want to be associated with this practice, with really kind of gets under my skin, and many, many other people, especially to me when you're traveling with kids or a larger group where you need to get multiple chairs.
Since it's a fourth episode, I'm going to interrupt you. And I know we have an audio program, but for anyone watching, I want to make sure that everyone sees the towel that's a man in a Speedo.
Yeah.
And the towel is a man in a Speedo, and you stand in front of it. Sorry, go ahead.
How hotels are stopping the Dawn Dash for sunbeds after man wins payout.
The Dawn Dash?
Holidaymakers have told the BBC how some hotels and resorts are cracking down on people reserving sun loungers with towels after a man won a payout over the practice.
Okay.
Last week, a man sued his tour operator for allowing the practice to take place while he was on holiday with his family in 2024, claiming he spent 20 minutes a day trying to find a sun lounger, a chair beside, in the sun, despite getting up at 6 a.m. every morning in his quest for a few rays. Judge at his district court in Hanover granted his family £850 refund this week. Speaking to the Daily Mail, he said ruling acts as a warning to other tour operators to allow something known as the Dawn Dash. Okay, so some hotels are enforcing sunbed allocation rules from checking to deal with what's called the Sunbed Wars. This man had initially paid about €7,000 to take his wife and 2 children on their package holiday to, is it Kos? It's an island, Greece, KOS,
okay.
Kos. In his arguments to court, he said his tour operator had failed to enforce the resort's ban on towel reservations. He said loungers were unavailable even at 6 a.m. So this is what happens here, okay? It's a very big, and if you've ever gone to a resort or anything else, this happens at resorts, pools, anywhere else. It has lounge or chairs that are beside places, but also there's towels and people will be coming and going. Is that they reserve a bunch of chairs. You go down to the hotel, and in the morning, some of you will go down with your group and put towels out on a bunch of chairs in a row to reserve them, with my air quotes in there. And the rule is you can't reserve chairs. One, you have to be sitting in a chair, but obviously people are human beings. You want to go in the pool, you got to use the bathroom, go grab food, go grab a drink. For 30 minutes, you have grace. Okay? You have grace for 30 minutes, and then your towel should be taken off and somebody else can use the chair because you're not sitting in the chair, which is really, honestly, the best way to use said chair, is to be sitting in it. Now, the problem at a resort or on a cruise is that everybody is supplied towels by the cruise or resort. So like in this photo here, they're all different towels, right? Yeah. But on a cruise or anything else, they're all like just white towels. And so people will throw the white towels on and they'll reserve them and they'll come back in 4 hours. and use the chairs, and nobody else gets to use them. It's a selfish thing to do. It's brutal, but also as people who've gone traveling with multiple children, if you find 4 to 6 chairs in a row at a pool, I'm not exaggerating, you are moving to the resort. You are never leaving the place. Those are your chairs for the rest of your life. And this way, it's guys like, you can't do that, because also then staff doesn't enforce it and people then will get angry about it. But it's taking away from what you've paid for.
It's a really interesting conversation about managing expectations, I think, in any business, right? The pattern of behavior they expect from the customers is just to use the chairs. They didn't think about it, and all of a sudden it becomes a problem in the business that they didn't think about it. It's interesting, right? Yeah. Because the expectation is you pay money, you come to the resort, you're able to sit in the sun, and they didn't think about how humans would behave in this situation, right? Does it say how they're dealing with it? A 30-minute thing, you said?
Yeah, so it's
after 30 minutes, they're like, and then I feel bad for the employee, right? Like the 17-year-old who has to kick people out of their chairs because that's their job.
And this is where, because this is a tour operator, right? So if you look here, it says, in arguments to court, he said his tour operator had failed to enforce the resort's ban on towel reservations.
So that's it too,
so
right?
He's saying the tour operator should have told the hotel, you need to get these towels off.
Yeah.
He said the lounges weren't even available at 6 a.m. and his kids were, still on the floor. The judge acknowledged his travel company did not run the hotel and could not ensure every customer had access, but they said the operator did have an obligation to ensure that the organizational structure to guarantee a reasonable ratio of sunbeds to guests. And he says the man who is David Eggert, 48-year-old father of 2, it was a big hotel, very fancy, about 400 loungers, and all 400 had towels on.
Again, I think we've talked about this before, where you have these invisible sort of silos or invisible pathways in your company. So the customer who books it from the tour operator, they don't know that in between with the resort and the tour. We've talked about this with delivery companies where you order something and they've outsourced to a delivery company and the customer has a bad experience with the delivery company.
Still a delivery company.
And it presents, to the customer, it's a straight line through the delivery to the product.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing here, right? The tour company didn't communicate with the resort or didn't communicate the resort's rules or something.
There was something lost and somebody gets hit.
But to the customer, it's just you, right? And so that's a very important thing to think about in your business is how people are coming in and how do they perceive that experience? Do they even know that you have, we outsource our delivery, we outsource this, we outsource, they don't know. And so you have to be responsible for all the communication down that sort of wavy pathway. In the end, you're the one who gets sued.
You're outsourcing your reputation.
Yeah.
There's a couple solutions they said in here. I love this one. On visits to 2 popular holiday camps in the France Mediterranean coast, a man told us that place twice a day. All right, so picture this: you have a bunch of chairs, towels on it.
Yeah.
Twice a day, they sound a horn, and if you're not at the lounger, all the items are removed to lost property.
I don't understand why they don't just have enough seats for the people whose rooms they've booked.
It's like parking lots. It's like
I'm just like, you knew you booked the rooms, you knew exactly, you know who's in the hotel.
Yeah. So another told us he had visited a hotel in the Cypriot resort of Proteris, which is a very strict and enforcing the policy of sunbed tenants, reserving a lounger for the holiday and informing the hotel if they wish to change spot. They had a allocation system in place and had been brilliant when they visited. Guests are allocated a sunbed upon check-in and allowed to request their preferred spot for the duration of their holiday, which is decided with fairness, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Come on, we don't need to be micromanaged. I don't know.
Right, yeah, it's a lot.
Come on, humans.
Who knows?
I love the privilege. It's a big privilege problem, but it's a lot of fun.
But I found it interesting when restaurants do this too. It happens like a few barbecue joints too. It's like Peg Leg Porker in Nashville went to. I did this.
Yeah, with our seat.
It was great, which was there's a big line. It's barbecue, right? So you always kind of have a line up. It takes some time to get all the food together and everything else. You just wait, right? You sitting on there. I'm just waiting for my pulled pork. But as they have a sign there and a person saying this, is that people will come in and they're like, do not have a person in your party come in and reserve the table and wait there while you're in line waiting for your food.
Just let people eat.
Get in line and they say this as people are coming in. Get in line for your food. I promise you, when you finish and you get your food at the end of the line, the tables you saw coming in will be different.
Yeah.
And then that time, then you go look for your food. And the problem is when people then cherry pick the table and then lock it down for a time of not.
People do it in like
everything,
the library.
People
do it in like a restaurant. Well, they're not a restaurant, but like a cafe where you can like sit at a table. Like
it's just understanding that we're all in this world together, right? And sometimes.
I got a hotel story too.
Yeah, fire away.
All right, so this, I don't know what website this is from actually. It's written by Andrea Doyle.
The meetings, the Swift meetings, yeah.
Yeah, a lawsuit over a hotel's alleged decision to replace a longstanding conference with a higher value NBA Finals business has been settled. But the dispute exposed a contract vulnerability many planners still overlook. Less than 48 hours before attendees were scheduled to arrive, a Texas nonprofit alleges its longtime conference hotel backed out of a contract so it could capitalize on demand tied to the NBA Finals. While the lawsuit has since settled, the dispute highlights a question planners should ask before signing any hotel contract. What happens if the hotel decides it no longer wants your business? The Texas Federal Tax Institute filed claims of breach of contract against Torches Conference? I don't know what that means. But against the conference, seeking more than $1 million in damages. According to the lawsuit, the hotel backed out of hosting the group's June conference for the NBA Finals when the NBA Finals brought the New York Knicks to San Antonio, driving demand.
Knicks and five.
I was wearing my Knicks shirt last time, too.
That's right.
A driving demand for the hotel room. This is very interesting, and I think that this is something like businesses deal with all the time. It's something that we deal with in our business, because our business is really about booking you to be on stages, is what happens when another date comes up or what happens when another client comes up. It's very interesting.
This was brutal.
Yeah,
I can't
so the
imagine.
nonprofit had to relocate its event to another hotel in downtown San Antonio. Most hotel contracts include force majeure language to execute performance if the event of contracts, in the events of God, natural disasters, or
Wemby.
events.
Yeah, or a 7+ footer Wemby.
I guess the Knicks were kind of like an act of God.
This is the Spurs, right? I assume this is about the Spurs who made it into the finals, who beat OKC in the semifinals. And I understand scheduling. I understand that when you have playoffs, right, it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
But there's things in place for this to say, if this happens, here are the dates we need for the arena.
But it's a burn. Like, it's hard for the customer that they already have, right? It says contract experts say the larger issue isn't whether this particular dispute was justified, but whether planners have adequate protections if a hotel doesn't honor an agreement.
And that's what it is. Okay, this is obviously this is about money.
Yeah.
Like everything is so often, but this is the problem. This is also your reputation.
It is.
And your reputation. So this story, So Andrea wrote about this for all meeting planners. So Andrea, who's awesome. I love all of her writing and all of her stuff. She did great multiple articles in the speaking industry. We got to talk multiple times. But so now Andrea's written this article. It goes out in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Now everybody knows that place did this.
Yeah, it's not a good
Meeting planners talk. You know what meeting planners love doing? They love seeing different venues and stuff and saying, and then talking to each other saying, did you hold one here? Because they're human beings and they talk to each other. And when this spreads, which has now in the industry, I've watched this happen, is simply this. We didn't expect the NBA Finals to happen at this time. Now we have an opportunity. It's actually like the World Cup, which is happening right now.
Yeah.
Some places didn't look down the road for the dates and go, oh my God, we could have got a bunch more for this, so we're canceling. It happens in Airbnb, but sometimes they try to do an excuse like, it was just a cancel, something went wrong, but because we just want to make more money. This was an entire conference.
Yeah,
it's
very serious.
You didn't take away the rooms of attendees. It was the conference. Like everything was like, you're just, how do you, I don't say how do you, they just do it.
It says in the article, she spoke to an attorney named Joshua Grimes, and it says most hotel drafted clauses either have an inadequate clause for these circumstances, such as merely a return of the group's deposit, which really doesn't cover needing to reschedule a conference at very short notice.
But that's also well ahead of time. Like this is their principal was already due. Like this was happened weeks out.
It says planners should consider all of the costs to move the event to a new location, thinking broadly. Damages can include additional costs for the new venue, increased room rates, higher F&B costs, cancellation costs, additional transportation costs for attendees, costs to notify attendees of changes, site visit expenses, charges and legal fees for negotiating new contracts. Many groups also include a specified amount to compensate the group for damage to its reputation because, again, it doesn't sound too good to all the people who've planned to come to your conference when you have to email them a few weeks before, a week before, heaven forbid, and be like, hey, we have to move our... Because then your reputation is suffered with your own clients. So it says the contract should include a specific amount, at least for part of these damages. It said that the nonprofit group had booked the property for years, but when circumstances changed, that history offered little protection. Also an important thing to remember.
Crazy.
You know, and I understand, but I also think sometimes we can get very excited about short-term opportunities and forget about the relationships that actually keep our businesses stable, like yearly
I know this is not a sports podcast, but you know one of the coolest things about the Knicks winning this championship as well, to me, or it would have been the Spurs as well, is the fact that since the Raptors win, yeah, baby, is the fact that it's been a different champion every single year.
Yeah, it's been
Which
cool.
is like, it's from
fun to
a
watch
dynasty
city,
thing, right?
yeah.
But that's a business thing too, to always look, it's like, oh my, but also for especially as somebody who's been a fan of like the Raptors since we got the team and having, you know, long standing with it, I'm seeing these different fan bases get to experience the Knicks cool. 56 years or something, 50 something years. It was fun, and they get to enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's so cool and so nice. So, congrats to the New York Knicks. But now I want the Raptors to win again. So go from there.
Yeah. Well, you know, like they won, and sometimes that's what you get.
Knicks in 5. See ya.
Yeah, you don't want to keep talking?
Nope.
You feel done? We are next time going to be seeing... You can't just take your headphones off and walk away while I'm still...
Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and visit theunpodcast.com. And remember, friends don't let friends use QR codes.